friends, this video on biological classification part 5 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. These chemicals are nothing but using organic matter. You use any organic substances, try to snatch away the chemicals from them and then try to prepare food with the help of those chemicals. So that is known as chemoautotrophs. So many of them are chemoautotrophs, however some are heterotrophs as well. That is, they depend on others for their food. So with this we will end our discussion on archaebacteria. Let us look at eubacteria. Eubacteria are the true bacteria. What do I mean by true bacteria? Was archaebacteria a false bacteria? Okay. When I say archaebacteria, it includes lesser range of bacteria. Now, when I just say bacteria, what comes to your mind? A prokaryote without any specific cell organelle, unicellular. The structure of the bacteria basically comes to your mind. So that structure which comes to your mind is a true bacteria. So those kind of bacteria fall under the category of eubacteria. But archaebacteria includes those type of bacteria who have got a different structure, of their cell wall, because of which they can survive in extreme conditions. So they are little different than the normal bacteria. So these normal class of bacteria are grouped under eubacteria and they are called as true bacteria. So some of the important features is again rigid cell wall. Flagellum is present. What is flagellum? It is a whip-like structure. So here you can see this green colored tail-like structure. So this whip-like structure actually helps in movement of the bacteria. So due to the presence of the flagellum, these bacteria are motile. They can move from one place to another. When we talk about their habitat, can be found almost anywhere, including human bodies. As I say, when you think of bacteria, you can find them just anywhere. Many occupy moist habitats because they have little more preference for moist habitats where they can grow more easily. However, they have a variety of habitats as well as nutrition, because a lot of bacteria fall under this category. So therefore, everything is diverse here. The habitats are also many different types. They can be found in soil, water, air, everywhere. Similarly, when I talk about nutrition, they can be photosynthetic autotrophs. Some of them are chemosynthetic autotrophs. Some are heterotrophs as well. So when I say photosynthetic autotrophs, they make their own food with the help of light. Chemosynthetic, they make their own food, but they do not use light energy. They use energy of inorganic substances which contain substances like sulfur and nitrogen, and then produce their food from that. So this chemosynthetic autotrophs, they use energy of inorganic substances which contain sulfur and nitrogen, and then utilizes that energy to prepare food. And here this use light energy. So that they are the photosynthetic and chemosynthetic autotrophs. When I talk about heterotrophs, they do not at all prepare their own food. They depend on others for their food. So let us talk about some examples of heterotrophic bacteria, that how do they obtain food. So let us talk about the different types of eubacteria based upon their different modes of nutrition. The photosynthetic autotrophs. One of the best example is the cyanobacteria, which is also known as blue-green algae because of their color. So this cyanobacteria is also known as blue-green algae because of their bluish green color. Now, why do they have this green color? Due to the presence of chlorophyll in them. So since they have chlorophyll, so they can prepare their own food with the help of sunlight, and that is the process of photosynthesis. So photosynthetic autotrophs are cyanobacteria. When I say chemosynthetic autotrophs, They prepare their own food with the help of chemicals. What are these chemicals? Nothing but the inorganic substances. As I said, they will utilize things like sulfur and nitrogen from the nitrites, nitrates and ammonia. So they will utilize that energy and will prepare their own food. So in a way, they also help in recycling the nutrients. How do they recycle the nutrients? When I say nutrients, what are the nutrients I'm talking about? I'm talking about nutrients like sulfur, nitrogen. Where are they right now? They are present inside these nitrates, nitrites, ammonia. So inside such inorganic compounds, these nutrients are present. So they are trapped inside such inorganic substances. So these chemosynthetic autotrophs actually oxidizes those inorganic substances and snatches out nutrients like sulfur and nitrogen. And these nutrients are extremely important for growth of plants. Right? So it helps in recycling nutrients in the atmosphere. So when the free sulfur and nitrogen is available in the atmosphere, it can be utilized by the plants for their better and effective growth. And the last one, the heterotrophs. Now again, when I say heterotrophs, there can be many different ways in which a bacteria can depend on other organisms for their food. Now they can be saprophytes. The word sapro means rotten, and phytes means plant. So sapro means rotten. So something which feeds on rotten things. That is a saprophyte. So most of these bacteria also feed on dead and decomposed plants and animals. So that is why they act as decomposers. So if these decomposers would have not been there, in that case, the dead bodies of all living organisms would have been lying just like that. There would have been no one to decompose them and send them back to the earth. Right? So these bacteria actually help in decomposing those dead and decaying organic matter. So they feed on dead and decomposed organisms or matter. They can also be parasites. So being saprophyte is one possibility, being a heterotroph, but it can also be parasite, that instead of feeding on dead and decomposed matter, it lives inside other organisms and takes nutrients from that organism. For example, if a bacteria lives inside a human being, so what will that bacteria do? It will take food from the human body itself. So a part of the food inside the human body will be snatched away by the bacteria. So it can be parasitic as well. So parasites means it will live inside another organism. So the organism inside whose body the bacteria lives, that is known as a host. So when I say bacteria are heterotrophic, they can be saprophytes feeding on dead matter, or they can be parasites living on inside another living organism and getting nutrients from them. So let us quickly talk about cyanobacteria, because cyanobacteria is again a very important type of bacteria. So cyanobacteria falls under the category of eubacteria. They are photosynthetic autotrophs. They are popularly known as blue-green algae because of their color. The word cyano means blue, and that is why they are known as cyanobacteria, that is blue bacteria. So when you observe it under a microscope, it looks somewhat like this, as you can see on this picture. They perform photosynthesis because they have chlorophyll. So in presence of sunlight, it is possible for them to prepare their own food. Responsible for enriching atmosphere with oxygen, because any organism which performs photosynthesis, what is the byproduct of photosynthesis? What happens in the process of photosynthesis? In the process of photosynthesis, carbon dioxide is taken in and oxygen is given out. So when oxygen is given out, that means more and more oxygen is given to the atmosphere. So these cyanobacteria gives also, during the process of photosynthesis, they end up giving more and more oxygen to the atmosphere. Considered ancestors of all life forms on Earth. So many scientists say that, even though there is not a foolproof evidence to this, but many scientists say that cyanobacteria are the ancestors of all life forms that exist on Earth. That is, from cyanobacteria itself, other complicated life forms started to arise. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more videos, attempt free online test, get free study material, find tutors and mentors. Thank you once again.